ringside St. Louis for action. You've got a ringside seat for the action and excitement of professional wrestling. This is KDNL-TV All-Star Wrestling.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of All-Star Wrestling. This hour on All-Star Wrestling, a familiar face returns to the Central States area. We are talking about Mark Youngblood, formerly Mark Romero, teaming up with his brother, Jay Youngblood.
Plus, we'll be seeing a situation that continues to evolve around the Central States. As a matter of fact, Kevin, all over the country. The situation that exists between King Kong Brody and Kamala, the Ugandan giant. We'll be seeing a match involving these two, and we'll be telling you about a very, very special match between these two men that should settle this question for all time.
Plus, of course, a gentleman, we call him a gentleman, that everybody seems to be talking about around the Central States area and how to get rid of him, and that is, of course, crazy Luke Graham.
Plus the Grappler #2, Ron Ritchie, and a host of other stars. All in all, it stacks up to be a tremendous hour of All-Star Wrestling. Plus, we'll tell you about a very, very special event that'll strike close to home to all wrestling fans in the Midwest. You stay tuned for that.
All right, let's go to ringside for our first match.
This event is one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Your referee from St. Joseph, Missouri, Sonny Myers. Introducing from Atlanta, Georgia, weighing 229 pounds, Tommy Rogers. His opponent from Seattle, Washington, weighing 245 pounds, T.G. Stone.
All right, here we go. T.G. Stone wrestles out of the Pacific Northwest. And look at those tattoos all over his body. Stone, of course, although he is not well known in the Central States area, has made quite a reputation wrestling in the Northwest, wrestling in Canada, in Europe, in the Far East. And a lot of people say, in fact, talking with people like Scott Ferris, people who have wrestled in the Pacific Northwest, they say that this is a guy to watch.
Well, T.G. Stone, Kevin, is one of the very few wrestlers who originally made his home in Alaska. Of course, all wrestling fans will remember the fantastic team of Jay and Mike York, the Alaskans, who carved quite a niche for themselves in the history of pro wrestling in the early 60s. T.G. Stone, good reversal from Tommy Rogers on T.G. Stone. Stone's made quite a name for himself over the last several months, but in Tommy Rogers, here we see a young man who's capable of just about anything inside that squared circle. Good snap mare from T.G. Stone. Tommy Rogers turned it right around and comes up with a hammerlock for the advantage as well.
And, of course, a lot of people over the last month or so really talking about Tommy Rogers because he has impressed people from Des Moines to St. Joe to Joplin to Pittsburgh. This young man is really making his mark, and he is making a lot of people hurt around the Central States area right now, digging that knee into the left arm of T.G. Stone. Here he comes again with that knee drop. And T.G. Stone right now in some difficulty.
And, of course, this match is very important for T.G. Stone, Kevin. It's his first appearance here on All-Star Wrestling. Actually, his first appearance anywhere in the Central States. A win is almost of paramount importance for him. The same, of course, goes for Tommy Rogers. He's had several big wins on TV. He's had several big wins around the Midwest. And now Rogers regaining that advantage. And that's the thing to me about Tommy Rogers. What tremendous tenacity this young man has. He'll get a hold, he'll stay with it, and that's part of the fundamentals of professional wrestling.
And he is really relentless. Some wrestlers, they'll back off for just a split second. And against a guy like T.G. Stone, that split second can mean the difference between victory and defeat. Right now, Tommy Rogers really going after T.G. Stone, that leg up over the bottom ring rope. And, of course, everybody right now, people we've talked to, talking about March 4th. It is a Sunday afternoon, and they're calling it, very simply, the Kemper.
And, of course, as this hour of All-Star Wrestling goes on, we'll be telling you some of the national stars that will be appearing at the Kemper. And I will tell you this, there has never been a card like this in the history of professional wrestling. As a matter of fact, Kevin, a little bit later this hour, it'll be a privilege for me to see an old friend of mine and a young man who's also made a great reputation for himself. I'm talking about Reuben Gibson and Rick Morton. They call themselves the Rock and Roll Express, and they are one of the most dynamic young teams in professional wrestling. They'll be on just a little bit later this hour.
Couple of fists from T.G. Stone, and now here's Tully Blanchard. Tully Blanchard at ringside. yelling some instructions to T.G. Stone. We had not seen Tully Blanchard, but he is at ringside.
And Mr. Blanchard directing some comments in our direction that are best left unsaid. T.G. Stone, apparently very encouraged by Mr. Blanchard, has started to open up a little bit on Tommy Rogers.
That was a fist. He claimed it was an open palm, but that was a fist to the head, now tearing at the eyes of Tommy Rogers. The one thing you got to say about T.G. Stone, you may not like his attitude. He is arrogant. He is very proud of himself. That was, it looked like perhaps a thrust to the throat. And again, he's claiming there was an open palm. And now T.G. Stone upset the crowd getting on him just a bit. But the one thing you can say is throughout his professional wrestling career, this man has won. Look at that elbow. Oof.
And T.G. Stone even manages to keep his feet. Many wrestlers will lose their footing, come off and down on the canvas. A lateral press. He sweeps the far leg. But still, Tommy Rogers had the wherewithal to power out. Stone, very irate referee Sonny Myers, claiming he was getting a slow count. But, of course, all referees are required to give a standard time limit between each strike on the mat, and there's very little behind that. Tommy Rogers now fighting off his feet. Here's that's a young man.
Look at him. A boot to the midsection. Here comes Stone into those ring turnbuckles. And Tommy Rogers says, hey, you want to dish it out? Well, maybe you better take some of it.
Tommy Rogers now full body slam on T.G. Stone. He goes for the lateral press. It's a count of 2, and Stone just barely managing to come out very, very slowly back up on his feet.
Stone, as you mentioned, new to the Central States area. He may have underestimated this young Tommy Rogers.
Amazing. Although it has nothing to do with his wrestling ability, I'm still intrigued by the amount of tattoos on his body. Of course, everybody remembers the Paramount High Chief Peter Maivia, of course, the late Peter Maivia, covered with the Samoan ritual tattoos. And frankly, Kevin, this man has more tattoos than Peter Maivia. I've never seen anything like it before in my life.
You have to see it to believe it. But I think you can see on your screen he is just covered with tattoos. But again, it has nothing to do with his wrestling ability because the man can wrestle. He can win.
Now T.G. Stone back up on his feet. Tommy Rogers keeping the advantage with that long armbar, bringing the pressure down on not only the forearm. Stone steps into his man, a good field throw, but he's not following up his advantage at all, backing off into the corner. Maybe, Kevin, Tommy Rogers has taken a little bit more out of T.G. Stone than we had previously thought.
First match, the man has been traveling, and undoubtedly, T.G. Stone wants no part of Tommy Rogers. Asking Sonny Myers about a closed fist from Tommy Rogers.
And Rogers now, the picture of confidence in the ring, the phenomenal change in this young man in the last 12 months. I had an opportunity to see him, of course, in Florida not too long ago, and he has really, really improved as a professional wrestler. He's got confidence, he's got poise, and he's got ring style, and he can take the punishment. T.G. Stone has been dishing out a phenomenal amount of abuse to this young man, and he just keeps coming back for more.
Look at him. Into those ring turnbuckles, but comes back with a knee. T.G. Stone, and that's where the veteran experience of a T.G. Stone means so much. Now the question is, can Tommy Rogers rebound from that adversity?
And Stone hooks his man. Whoa! I've never seen anything like that before.
Head first.
It looked like he was going for a suplex. He drilled his man straight forward into the canvas, a count of 3. And a very impressive win for T.G. Stone in his first appearance on All-Star Wrestling.
And you can just tell the arrogance on the face of T.G. Stone as he leaves Tommy Rogers in a heap. Well, we'll be back with more on All-Star Wrestling coming up. Mark and Jay Youngblood, a familiar face, returns to the Central States area after this timeout.
This event is one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing from Amarillo, Texas, with a combined weight of 472 pounds, Mark and Jay Youngblood. Their opponents from New York, New York, weighing 249 pounds, Paul Kelly. His partner from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, weighing 250 pounds, Billy Howard.
Well, the story, as we've mentioned several times here on All-Star Wrestling, very, very interesting. Many people will remember Mark Youngblood as Mark Romero, wrestled in the Central States area for many years. And the story behind his change to Youngblood is somewhat interesting.
Well, as everyone knows, Mark Romero's father is Ricky Romero, the former Rocky Mountain States champion and a legend in pro wrestling. They are actually brothers. However, Youngblood, beautiful drop kick from Jay Youngblood. Youngblood is their mother's maiden name. Jay Youngblood chose it as he started off on his profession. Mark Romero chose to take his father's name, and now, as a tandem, they have decided to honor their mother by taking her maiden name, and they've continued quite successfully, most immediately in the Mid-Atlantic states, where they gained several tag team championships. Good body tackle from Billy Howard. Howard off the ropes. Another body tackle on Jay Youngblood, and Youngblood catches him a full body slam. Paul Kelly in for the save. Another body slam from Jay Youngblood, and this young Indian is going to town, Kevin.
Hey. Of course, Jay Youngblood, former co-holder of the World Tag Team titles, along with Ricky Steamboat. And he is off to a tremendous start here in the Central States area.
Since we mentioned Rick Steamboat, rumor has it, no match has been signed yet, that quite possibly sometime in the next couple of weeks we'll be seeing Rick Steamboat here somewhere in the Midwest. And if you've never had a chance to see Rick Steamboat in action, what a man this young man is.
Exciting wrestler indeed.
Short arm drag now from Mark Youngblood, followed up very closely with that long arm lock. Paul Kelly, of course, out of New York City, New York, has done quite well for himself in the Midwest. Many people sold him a little short when he came to this area several weeks ago, but he's proved that he is a caliber of wrestler that can go far in this sport.
But anybody can be good if you're getting help from your partner, but look at Mark Youngblood.
Tomahawk chop down that corner.
That. Billy Howard goes down. Paul Kelly goes down. And Mark Youngblood is on fire.
And you can see out of the corner of your screen that Jay Youngblood during this whole fracas is poised, 1 foot in the ring, not illegal, but he's ready at any time to come to the aid of his partner. Very, very important strategy on the behalf of this young Indian team. Side headlock, spin around, takes the hammerlock on Paul Kelly. Now the fast tag. And once again, we get a chance to see Jay Youngblood in action.
It is fun to watch these two brothers in action. Tremendous facial resemblance, physical resemblance. Plus, they work so darn well.
A count of 2 on Paul Kelly. And Jay Youngblood, just a picture of intensity in his face, of course, for Mark Youngblood, the homecoming to the Central States area.
And across that left arm.
And Youngblood wastes no time. A tomahawk chop to Billy Howard that sends him down to the arena floor. And we're seeing a different Mark Youngblood than we saw several times ago. He had his share of wins. He had his share of losses. But now, with that extra added experience that he gained in the Mid-Atlantic states, we're seeing a dynamic young man that could very well be on his way to the top.
Rick, I tell you, it's all a matter of chemistry. You put the right two people together, and it makes both of them just that much better. I think you're seeing that in Mark Youngblood, although right now Billy Howard having his way with Youngblood.
Billy Howard is the veteran, of course. Sometimes he is rather shy to tie up in the middle of the ring, whether that's strategy or lack of personal bravery. We'll leave that up to the fans to decide. But one thing is for sure, when Billy Howard gets the advantage, he goes tooth and nail to make sure that he keeps that advantage.
Still to come, you're going to get a look at 2 of the toughest men in professional wrestling, Kamala, the Ugandan giant, and Bruiser Brody. Still to come on All-Star Wrestling.
And now Youngblood slowly making his way to the feet, a hard elbow. He may not have seen that tag. Youngblood may not have seen the tag to Paul Kelly. Wow. And Kelly at 270 really knows how to use that weight, Kevin.
Well, now Youngblood being strangled across that top ring rope by Billy Howard. Paul Kelly.
Snap
there. Those ring ropes. Look out. Right across the forehead of Mark Youngblood. And Youngblood right now in trouble.
Referee Sonny Myers closely checking the action. Good diving roll from Paul Kelly. A count of 1, 2, and yes, I believe that, yes, Youngblood was in the ropes. Referee Sonny Myers calls for the break. And Howard and Kelly are showing tremendous poise as a team as well. Tagging in, tagging out, holding the man. They've got a count of 5. 5 is the DQ.
That was a thumb. That was a thumb to the throat of Mark Youngblood. Now, Billy Howard will deny it, but he did it right in front of our broadcast position. That was clearly a thumb to the throat. And right now, Mark Youngblood I don't think he can breathe. He is gasping for air. We can hear him over here.
And wait a minute, Paul Kelly on the floor. You may not be able to see it on the monitor, but he is definitely choking Mark Youngblood from the floor of the television arena.
And here comes Paul Kelly.
A block from Billy Howard. A very, very good maneuver preventing Youngblood from...
Oh, that was a right hand. But Billy Howard comes right back. He should be out of the ring.
Jay Youngblood now pacing the corner ring apron. Mark Youngblood needs to make the tag to his brother. Jay knows it, and he's shouting encouragement now, going over, trying to help Mark back into the ring and quickly heading back for that corner so as not to miss the tag.
Kelly again comes down with that two-hander on Mark Youngblood. Mark coming back with 2 straight fists. But he's got to get the tag. I think he is dazed. There's another right. Oh, and a chop, and Billy Howard.
He's got the tag. Tag to Jay Youngblood. And he's off that ropes. Oh, tomahawk chop that sends Paul Kelly into the canvas. Another hard chop to Billy Howard and this young man.
Uh-oh, Indian dancing, look out. Kelly is down. Jay Youngblood.
Youngblood now bulls his man to the ropes. Wait, reversed by Paul Kelly. Body tackle. Oh.
And that elbow to the forehead by Billy Howard, the legal tag.
And I don't think Jay Youngblood even saw that coming. Now Howard sets his man, picks him high in the air.
Look out, that's a tag, that's a tag.
It's up. Atomic drop blocked by Jay Youngblood. Wait a minute. Mark Youngblood, a college roll up from...
He got it. He got it.
And a big win here on TV.
Billy Howard had Jay Youngblood up, poised, but the tag was made. It was a legal tag. So the Youngbloods, winners in tag team action. We'll be back with more on All-Star Wrestling, but first, this brief intermission. On March 4th, perhaps the biggest afternoon, the biggest day of professional wrestling anywhere in the country this year, and it will all be coming to Kansas City and Kemper Arena. 2 of the contestants that you will see on that tremendous card at Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Kamala, the Ugandan. Bruiser, Brody.
Now, there will be a special stipulation to this match. As you'll see on this upcoming piece of videotape, outside interference in this match, not only by Friday, but it's Colonel Buck Robley as well. When these 2 men meet in the ring at the Kemper, they will be enclosed in an 18-foot steel cage. And Friday will be handcuffed to Buck Robley at ringside. Let's see what brought this situation about as we see a match between King Kong Brody and Kamala, the Ugandan Giant. This is the match that Kansas City has been waiting for. In the ring, 480-pound Kamala, the Ugandan Giant, accompanied by his man Friday. This match, no disqualification. King Kong Bruiser Brody is yet to make his way to ringside. He'll be accompanied in his corner by his close and longtime friend, Colonel Buck Robley. Every time these 2 have met in the ring, they have fought all over the building, and with no disqualification, a 30-minute time limit, this match promises to be no exception. Of all the times that I personally have seen Bruiser Brody in the ring, no man has ever given him the tough test that Kamala, the Ugandan Giant, has. They've fought with chairs. They've fought with ringside spectators' canes. They've fought with a crutch. They've fought with literally everything they could get their hands on in the arena. And still, neither man has been able to gain a definite advantage. Kamala, the Ugandan Giant, now pacing around the ring, anxiously waiting the arrival of Bruiser Brody. His man Friday, the picture of confidence. However, this could very, very shortly change with the arrival of the man from Clovis, New Mexico, 325-pound Bruiser Brody. This crowd, a capacity crowd in Kansas City's Memorial Hall, is on its feet. All eyes are turned towards the dressing room. Everyone in this building is awaiting the arrival of one man, King Kong Bruiser Brody. Wait a minute. From the back of the arena comes Bruiser Brody. He nails Friday outside the ring. Kamala doesn't even know he's there. Referee Sonny Meyer signals for the bell. And now it's Colonel Buck Robley with Friday on the floor as Kamala the Giant and Bruiser Brody fight it out in the middle of the ring. Brody is down. Robley on the outside of the ring, forcibly putting Friday in a ringside seat. Bruiser Brody, the momentary advantage of his sneak attack, temporarily annulled now, comes to life in the corner. Hard boots to the midsection of Kamala the Giant. And this capacity crowd goes wild. Brody, a tremendous boot to the jaw of Kamala the Ugandan Giant. And all the pain and all the injuries sustained by Brody at the hands of Kamala must be coming back into his mind now as King Kong Bruiser Brody closes in for the kill in the Kamala. Back with a hard right hand. Those judo chops that can split a man's skull. Double thrust. Brody on the canvas. Kamala, one of the few men in wrestling who can actually take Bruiser Brody off his feet with one punch. Now, an open and blatant choke on King Kong Brody. Remember, this match is no disqualification. Anything goes. Anything is legal. And with the extra addition of Colonel Buck Robley and Friday in their respective corners at ringside, Brody connects with a wild right hand that stuns Kamala the Giant. Brody, a karate thrust to the throat, and King Kong Bruiser off his feet after being slammed in the head by a steel chair. A wound opened up on the head of Kamala the Giant. Kamala tasting his own blood, but this man, seemingly impervious to pain, hasn't even left his feet. Both men now trading blows back and forth. Knee drop kick. Brody sends Kamala to the corner. Neither man has gone off his feet. And now, what's Brody doing? Bruiser Brody up on that top rope. Bruiser Brody diving with his full weight into the forehead of the already bleeding Kamala the Giant. Friday now making, wait a minute, Friday tried to get up on the ring apron. Colonel Buck Robley right in the ring. Wait, now Robley down on the floor. Tossed down by Friday, and they're going at it on the floor as Kamala the Giant and Bruiser Brody fight it out in the middle of the ring. Brody over that top rope. Kamala the Giant, still bleeding profusely from the head, goes right after his man. Robley and Friday fighting it out on the far side of the ring. Brody's into that steel post, and Brody is down. Robley and Friday scratching and clawing at each other on the floor as Bruiser Brody and Kamala the Giant continue their onslaught against each other. And now Kamala's face a mask of blood as a trickle of blood starts to appear on the head of Bruiser Brody. Robley and Friday still fighting. Big splash from Kamala the Giant. We've seen this move cripple several wrestlers before. Wait a minute. Robley is tearing the clothes off Friday, and now Kamala the Giant throws Buck Robley in the ring. Friday, his shirt half ripped off. Well, Robley's on the back of Kamala. Robley hit in the forehead from something by Friday. He's got something in his hand. And now, as Friday continues to work on Buck Robley, wait a minute. Those steel chairs find their mark again, and Friday finds himself on the floor. As Brody and Kamala, still neither man backing up. Both men, their faces covered with blood. Hard judo chops find their mark from Brody and Kamala. Neither man backing up an inch. And now Robley, covered with blood, continues his onslaught against Friday in the center of the ring, while Bruiser Brody and Kamala the Giant fight on the floor. Kamala Looks like he may be biting the head of Bruiser Brody. Both men standing toe-to-toe. Brody swinging hard. Each chop finding its mark. Referee, wait a minute. Referee Sonny Myers has called for the bell. It looks like he's signaling that both men have been counted outside the ring on the floor. Brody and Friday still fighting inside the ring. Robley's face a mass of blood. Friday with his mask and his clothes half torn off. And Bruiser Brody doesn't look like he's done with either man, as Kamala hoists Friday on his shoulders and tries to make the safety of the dressing room with Bruiser Brody in hot pursuit. What a match. At 10 minutes, both Bruiser Brody and Kamala the Giant are counted outside the ring to the count of 10. Major League of Professional Wrestling comes to the Kiel Auditorium. The World's Heavyweight Championship on the line as Battle Royal winner Barry Windham challenges Nature Boy Ric Flair. Plus, Missouri title. Harley Race defends against Chief Wahoo McDaniels. You'll see the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, the United States Champion Dick Slater, and Crusher Blackwell and Ken Patera team up to take on Ron Ritchie and Colonel Buck Robley.
You know, Ronnie, I heard through the grapevine that Patera and Blackwell said that we're nothing but a stepping stone. Now, everybody knows at St. Louis what I stand for. I made a name the hard way for me there. And you spell it R-O-B-L-E-Y. People understand. I don't care if Patera was the strongest man in the world. I don't care if Blackwell weighs 400 pounds. You look at a man with determination. And I've got a fine partner in Ron Ritchie. Now, I don't go by the rules. Now, you might go by the rules, Ronnie, but I'm going to show you how to bend them rules. Because we're going in there to beat a team that doesn't abide by the rules either. Everybody knows how sick and devious I am. I'm going to tell you something, Ronnie. When we go in there, we've got a goal and we've got a mission. And Patera and Blackwell, I don't care how big you are. You know, the old saying is, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. And you know, Ronnie, as well as I do, that once a man's on the mat, he's the same size as you and I. I don't care if they outweigh us 80 pounds. I don't care if one man's got 22-inch arms. You're looking at somebody that's sick and devious, and I know how to get around all these people. And, Ronnie, I'm going to show you all the shortcuts to professional wrestling, and I'm going to prove to you people in St. Louis I am what I am, and this man's going to be right there with me.
Friday night, February the 17th, it's a chance against Crusher Blackwell and Ken Patera for Ron Ritchie and Colonel Buck Robley. Plus, the World's Heavyweight Championship is on the line. Nature Boy Ric Flair defends against Barry Windham. Missouri title, Harley Race, and Wahoo McDaniels. Plus, you'll see the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and Crazy Luke Graham. It all happens Friday night, February the 17th, St. Louis, the Kiel Auditorium at 7:30.
This event is one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing from San Antonio, Texas, weighing 228 pounds, Dusty Wolfe. His opponent from New York, New York, weighing 298 pounds, Crazy Luke Graham.
Well, there you get a look at him. They call him Crazy. He says he hates it when fans around the Central States area yell, Crazy Luke, Crazy Luke. But that, I tell you, there's no other way to describe him. Crazy Luke Griffin. He has that nervous twitch. But he is a winner. Now he's tearing at the eyes of Dusty Wolfe.
And Dusty Wolfe, of course, a tremendous young athlete in his own right out of San Antonio, Texas, has made a very big impression on fans in this area, and of course will continue to. This is his biggest test against Crazy Luke Graham.
In the ring, you get a look at Crazy Luke Graham and Dusty Wolfe. That's Graham, the big guy.
Dusty Wolfe, of course, in the multicolored trunks. And the stories behind Crazy Luke Graham, of course, read like the definitive history of professional wrestling. From San Francisco to New York City. Oh, wait a minute. Apparently, Dusty Wolfe has not read the history of professional wrestling because he's not backing up a bit from this big man.
He really isn't. And, you know, you talk about, in fact, in the first match, we talked about rising young stars in professional wrestling and people like Tommy Rogers. Well, this young man right here, Dusty Wolfe, an outstanding young wrestler, but Crazy Luke Graham has him up over that top ring turnbuckle, and he is helpless. Graham, a two-hander to the midsection, and down comes Dusty Wolfe. And The one thing you can say about crazy Luke Graham, he acts crazy. Some people say he is certifiably crazy. He does win. You may not agree with his methods. Right there, strangling Dusty Wolfe over those top ring ropes. And again, up over that top ring rope. Down he comes across the lower part of the throat.
And now look at this. Graham using not only his leg but the trunks of Dusty Wolfe to entangle this young man in the ropes to cut off his breathing supply. So far this match has been all Luke Graham, but don't sell this Dusty Wolfe short. This young man can fight, and I don't believe he's afraid of anybody inside this squared circle.
He has not read the press clippings as yet. But now look at that nervous twitch. That nervous twitch on the part of crazy Luke Graham. But a couple of good fists from Dusty Wolfe and an elbow drop to the top of the head. But Luke Graham comes right back.
Dusty Wolfe now in serious trouble along the ropes, and of course we've been talking about the Kemper. You'll see stars like the team that was voted by Pro Wrestling Illustrated the Tag Team of the Year. We're talking of course about the phenomenal Road Warriors, as well as Bruiser, Brody against Kamala the Giant. We've already
Look at that knee. And that is a critical mistake. You can't make mistakes like that against this guy, crazy Luke Graham.
No, indeed. Graham lifts his man high in the air. Atomic drop to the base of the spine of Dusty Wolfe. A lateral press.
See if he gets it.
He's got it.
An impressive win, crazy Luke Graham. They call him crazy, but he wins. We will continue with more on All-Star Wrestling, but first, this timeout.
17th, the world's champion comes to St. Louis, Missouri. NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair will meet the challenge of Barry Windham in St. Louis World Championship match. And let's bring in the world's champion right now.
You know, Barry Windham, you've come a long way, my man. $35,000. You beat a lot of the big names in professional wrestling. You're riding real high in the ranks of big-time wrestling right now, the National Wrestling Alliance, and you're in line. Because you won the Battle Royal, you're in line for a shot at this. Well, let me tell you something about this right here, young man. $35,000 won't make a down payment on this, brother. And $35,000 won't even put a dent in Ric Flair. You're looking at the World Heavyweight Champion. The best, that professional wrestling has to offer. The man that made St. Louis the wrestling capital of the world. Custom made from head to toe, whether it be cashmere, gold diamonds, long limousines, beautiful women. You ask around town. You ask down at Toledo's on the landing. You ask them out at the Marriott. Who is the 60-minute man? Who drives the women wild? Who drives up in a big limousine, who walks into the Kiel Auditorium and takes over? Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Champion. Barry Windham, you're a great one. You should be in the ring with me, because I strive and I thrive to wrestle on the greatest competition that the NWA has to offer. And you know their NWA, they're the best, brother. So you're looking at the world champion. You got 60 minutes to show them you belong with me, Daddy. Go for it, St. Louis. Woo!
Back at our All-Star Wrestling Arena, and now a special treat for all the wrestling fans around the Central States area.
Well, there's been a team that's been creating shockwaves across professional wrestling. You've seen them in the national magazines. Maybe you've seen them on television. Maybe you've been... They're comprised of two young stars in professional wrestling. The sensational Rick Morton and his partner, Reuben Gibson. They have made a tremendous mark all across the United States, most recently in Tennessee and Kentucky. Before that, in the Deep South, around the Southwest. Let's take a look at them here in this very, very interesting special on the Rock and Roll Express. Morton and Lucas. Wrestling Club, the Major League of Professional Wrestling, comes to the Kiel Auditorium. The main event, the World's Heavyweight Championship on the line as Nature Boy Ric Flair defends against Battle Royal winner Barry Windham. Plus, the Missouri title of Harley Races on the line against Chief Wahoo McDaniel. You'll see the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, Crusher Blackwell and Ken Patera, Colonel Buck Robley, Dick Slater, and many more. Friday night, February the 17th at 7:30. Last time at the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis, a non-title loss for Missouri State Heavyweight Champion Harley Race. The title this time, sir, is on the line.
Let me tell you something, Stuart. You don't be standing out here and telling anybody about me getting beat, period. Let's get that understood. Wahoo McDaniels, I'm the man that's going to stand here and say that you got to win over me. I'm the one that's going to tell the story on myself. But I'm coming for you, McDaniels, like I've never been after any other human being. I need it. Not just for you. I need it to get back where I want to be. Ric Flair, you may have bitten off a whole lot more than you can chew in Barry Windham. But regardless of what happens, Wahoo McDaniels is not going to use me to escalate himself for a shot at that gold. The silver belt's been around my waist more time than any other human being since this belt has been in existence. The gold strap has been around this waist more times than any other living human being. Wahoo, count yourself out.
This event is one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing from Dunkirk, New York, weighing 242 pounds, Ron Ritchie. His opponent, weighing 245 pounds, Grappler number 2.
Well, now a great opportunity to watch Grappler number 2. Now, it should be noted, Grappler number 2 is the wrestler without the orthopedic boot. But Grappler number 1 is at ringside.
Apparently, he's taking ring announcer Terry Garvin's chair. Apparently, he intends to stay here. By the way, coming up next week here on All-Star Wrestling, we'll be seeing stars like Wahoo McDaniels, the legendary Indian star, plus the Junkyard Dog in his first appearance here on All-Star Wrestling, plus the former national champion Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. These are 3 of the stars. Good leapfrog from Ron Ritchie. Arm drag on the Grappler number 1. And, of course, these are 3 of the tremendous stars that will be at the Kemper on Sunday afternoon, March the 4th. Now, for those of our fans who are out of town, there will be mail-order tickets accepted. And you'll need to get a pencil and paper. A little bit later, we'll tell you about those mail-order ticket outlets and the address to send it to. However, if you live in and around the Kansas City area, you'll be able to get your tickets at all Capital Ticket outlets, all Jones stores, at Capers Corners, Love Records, or at the Memorial Hall box office daily from 9 till 4.
And, of course, tickets for all All-Star Wrestling cards in the Kansas City area. Memorial Hall normally, but the Kemper on March 4th. Available at the Tender Trap at 3 West 12th Street in Kansas City, Missouri.
The Grappler number 2 now. Wait a minute. Oh, Ritchie looked like he may have been trying to leapfrog his man, and the Grappler. No, Ritchie manages to power out over it.
And a body slam.
I thought the Grappler had him there for a second, but Ron Ritchie, a high-flying drop kick.
And right now, Grappler number 2 is going to think things over. Grappler number 1 is going to have a little bit to say.
Sort of a conference on the floor, more or less. Now the Grappler 2 returns to ringside. And, of course, we've seen the devastation that the Grappler number 1 can wreak. We saw it last week here on All-Star Wrestling. And it'll be interesting to see whether this gentleman remains in his seat. So far, he has not interfered in this match in any way, shape, or form. Ritchie.
Oh, that elbow drop. That hurt Ron Ritchie.
The poise of this Grappler number 2 had enough presence of mind, even after being whipped into the turnbuckle, to drop that hard elbow to the back of Ron Ritchie's head. And now this match seems to be completely turned around.
And Grappler number 1 urging on Grappler number 2, saying, don't let up, don't let up.
A series of 3 hard elbow drives to Ron Ritchie. And the grappler number 2 scoops his man, full body slam, powers Ritchie to the canvas, backs up.
Oh, look at that. And that is taped. That is taped. That right hand is taped up. It should be noted.
Much in the fashion of a boxer, of course, it is checked by the referee before that match. However, that tape in itself is often enough to render a man bleeding from the forehead.
And he's going at that forehead of Ron Ritchie. Now, head first into that ring turnbuckle, being warned about pulling of the hair by referee Sonny Myers.
Now, Ritchie back with the right hand. I was just about to say that Ron Ritchie, he can take it as well as he can just... Clothesline from the grappler number 2.
That might be it.
Drops down for a lateral press.
2.
Very, very close.
And grappler number 2 and grappler number 1 complaining about a slow 3 count.
Hard judo chop to the chest, and again that judo chop from Ron Ritchie.
That stunned him. That stunned him.
Don't ever count Ron Ritchie out.
Another.
A thrust to the throat of Ron Ritchie that's got him grasping for air on the canvas. And now the grappler number 2, hard pressed to retain his advantage over Ritchie, sets his man, Irish whip into the ropes.
Oh!
Sunset
This might be it. The count is 1. That's all he gets. Ron Ritchie coming dangerously close to a pin against grappler number 2, but Ron Ritchie now with that one leg up over the bottom ring rope. Sonny Myers orders a break, and grappler number 2 gives Ritchie a boot to the forehead for his trouble.
Part of the success of the grapplers, whether as a team or as individuals, of course, their tremendous physical stamina. You'll note that in the ring, they don't ever let up. They may take a beating, but they're always right back on their man. And now, a headbutt to Ron Ritchie. And Ritchie has never really had a chance to get started in this match. But he's still fighting. He's still conscious. He's still able to kick out of those pin attempts.
You know, a lot of people would wonder, why is grappler number 1 at ringside? But who knows better about grappler number 2 than a man who wrestles alongside him night in and night out? If he's doing something wrong, you can bet grappler number 1 will let him know about it.
And
here
Ron
comes Ritchie.
He's fighting his way out of that. A hard roundhouse right that sends the grappler number 2 to the canvas. Judo chop, and the grappler 2 is down again.
He's hurt.
And Ron Ritchie is on his feet and back in this match.
Grappler number 2 is in trouble. Look at the knees. They're wobbling.
Tremendous backbreaker from
This could be it. Look at this.
This is Ritchie's favorite move. He's up on that second rope. Big splash on the grappler.
Count is 1. And grappler number 2 kicks out.
It's not often you see anybody come up once Ron Ritchie applies that double thrust to the throat that sends the grappler number 2 to the canvas.
Count is 1. And again, grappler number 2 kicks out.
Now Ritchie pulled off that rope high leapfrog, and Ritchie, a body tackle that sends both men to the canvas.
Grappler number 2 is outside of the ring ropes. He is really in trouble. In fact, he is gasping for air along the near side.
And wait a minute. Now, wait a minute.
Grappler number 1. He's loading up that boot.
We saw that same motion last week here on All-Star Wrestling, and they've done a switch. They look so much alike. Oh, he's caught him in the midsection now. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God!
Now wait a minute. They've got to do something about this. We will continue on All-Star Wrestling. First, though, this brief intermission. Of controversy surrounding the end of this match. I'm sure we have not heard the end of it.
Next week here on All-Star Wrestling, you'll be seeing the great Indian star, Chief Wahoo McDaniels, Colonel Buck Robley, the grappler number 1, Junkyard Dog, Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, the Road Warriors, and many, many more right here on All-Star Wrestling.
So we'll see you next week. Join us again at ringside for another exciting edition of All-Star Wrestling.
The power-packed action of All-Star Wrestling continues next on KTNL TV Channel 30.